Accumulated snow. I think we're done with it.
We're on the internet.
I'm Bill.
So you're Canadian.
Yeah.
You're Bill?
Bill.
Joe? Joe? Yes, nice to meet you. Thanks for coming. Sean,
Don't worry, we don't expect you to remember.
I'm not.
Yeah.
John Morton.
Yeah.
With one dash.
You always very nice name. Best overall.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, he got a
was
cool
spelled
dad.
with, I saw media had Inquisitor, and I was like, haha, that's kind of funny. Media. Oh, nice. You don't give me a pass.
It's not. I wish it wasn't English.
Is that a next?
If Freddie shows up, we'll get Freddie. He'll kind of stand behind Bill until he
That's fine.
hop in where he is. And then, yeah, I just don't want to close the door on it.
I know. I like to give them a homework too.
Is there any time that you have to go or anything?
I should be out of here so I can get back down.
All right. That works. Do you have to be down at 3 o'clock?
I should be there.
Okay.
So how long does it take you to get to the crowd?
Well, I was up. About 5 minutes.
5 minutes? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if you wanted to start, do you want us to be in the same interview, or would you overlap?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I figured we would do your stuff first because I heard mention that you had to go.
Yeah, getting a little exercise.
Yeah. You want to just tell the three guys like we're expecting Freddie and he can sneak in kind of thing? Yeah. And we'll just make a big show out of it that he does show up when he does and point out.
I wonder if all the Star Wars Rebels people are going to be here on Sunday.
Saturday, yeah. Well, Freddie Prinze Jr. does the voice of Kanan.
Yeah.
He's supposed to be here today. He's supposed to be on this. Hopefully he turns up. But I figure for like especially crowds and how the show's brand new.
Yeah.
He's just gonna get swarmed by people. Yeah.
You should be wearing a helmet.
Yeah, he should.
All right. So are you sitting, Sean, or are you just going to stand in the middle?
No, I'll sit down. We'll get you right in the middle. Joe, you can kind of come to this side if we can squeeze everybody in. Sorry, pull that chair. I gotta sit down.
That's the extra mic. Shift that over here.
Oh, you're not using it.
No?
I'm a little quirky and clanky, so
Yeah.
I'll try and watch
That's
my
all
notebook.
Yay.
You want that hot? Or is that going to be used?
Ian, do we want this to stop or unplugged or?
Yeah, I can probably just kill that one. Because, yeah.
I'll kill it.
Yeah, I got it.
Thank you.
That's not a kill switch.
It's one of those wicked cheap ones without a switch.
We just unplug it? Just unplug it. You got it. You do.
Yes. All right.
So what's the pickup range on these?
What?
Pickup range?
I don't know. We'll find out.
Yeah.
All right. So, Bill, if you would like to take us off on the official TR intro.
Welcome to Keldabe Talk Radio, live from Star Wars Celebration 7, here in Anaheim, California. Thank you. That's it. That's all for me.
So I am your host, Chro, and as you just heard, we just had Al Grayheed, the voice of KTR every month. With me on this episode, we also have regular cast member Thaxos.
Hello.
And we have guest Solus Ram.
Hey, how's it going?
And we have very special guest John Dak Morton.
He's no good to me dead.
So this is a very special episode for us because it's the first live episode that we've ever done in like 5 years.
It's been quite a while
something
now,
like that. Obviously, we're live in front of an audience. Thank you guys for coming. First off, awesome. and yeah, we're live here at Celebration of all places to be live at.
We made it.
We made it. All right, I've officially run out of things to say. But no, like let's just start in with John. Obviously, famed for being Dak Ralter from Empire, body double for Boba.
Well, that's actually true. Yeah, the Boba Fett scene I did was on Bespin, where he confronts Vader and tells him that Han Solo is no good to me dead. And I was filling in for 2 days for Jeremy Bullock, who was off doing another film at the time. And as Jeremy and I were about the same size, a lot of the crew and other films, they said, hey, Morton's a good guy. He'll go do a good job. Let's have him fill in for about 2 days. And so Jeremy could go off and do this film. Well, little did I know that Boba Fett was going to turn out to be this iconic character that he is. And, you know, it's been quite a ride meeting you guys and hanging out with the Mercs, I'll tell you.
So was that, did you actually get to do the He's Next Time Through, or was that overdubbed? Like always?
All of it was overdubbed by Jason Wingren, who did the original. And then, you know, he did the recutting.
Mm-hmm. So one thing that I've always wondered, because you used to do a fair amount of stunt work in general, and with the Dak role, you got to be blown up. How was that?
Well, actually, that an IMDb misnomer. I'm not a stunt guy. It's not. It's one of those things that's just not accurate. But yeah, you're involved in doing sort of those under 5-line roles in big budget films. You get around to doing a lot of stuff with special effects and what have you. So I was around little explosive squibs and being squashed and all that for 5 or 6 films. So you got pretty familiar in experiencing all of that. So you're not actually doing stunts, but when you have a tractor that's a forklift that is on, with the forks that's above your module and is coming down, banging on top of it, and this thing is crumbling on top of you. That's a one-take scene, and if somehow this guy driving the forklift doesn't really get his act together, he could be crushing the whole thing, and you could be history. So that was pretty scary, but the Star Wars part was okay.
Yeah.
That was just little squibs.
When you got to fill in for Jeremy, did you got to wear the armor?
Yeah, I was
set?
wearing.
How was that experience for you?
It was okay, and it wasn't as heavy as people think it was. The only thing that was really odd, and I've said this before, was the actual blaster. His weapon was not balanced very well. So anybody that's carried a weapon and knows about pieces, this thing would not have been a good piece to shoot with. It would have been tricky. So I was aware of that because as they were shooting the scenes, it took several hours. They were doing the reversals and what have you. So you were holding onto this, and I can't honestly remember whether it was my right arm or left arm that was just exhausted by the end of the day, but not both. So I just remember it was just not a well balanced piece.
At what point did you really realize that Boba Fett was going to become such a iconic character, and how did that feel to be part of that legacy?
It was really once the film was out.
Yeah.
I wasn't aware really what his storyline was at all. And as you probably know from reading about Empire and a lot of filmmaking, is that you never, unless you're Mark Hamill and in every scene, you don't see the whole script. You see what are called slides. Right. Which are your sheets where you've got your spoken lines, and so I had no idea anything about who this guy was. Just knew he had a scene with Darth Vader, but subsequently, I'm delighted to find out. As I said to the panel I was attending, recently, I said, "Hey, how many people played a character that faced down Darth Vader?" Well, that's right. I think there's maybe one. And it was Boba Fett, and I had the pleasure of that scene. He's no good to me dead. That was kind of spitting in Vader's eye, don't you think?
Lately, you've been one of the panels that you just did today. You're involved with like military affairs and like military relations and veterans relations with the various costume clubs. Like, what's What's the can't think of a better word to
connection?
say it, but what's the connection with that?
Well, as I do about 10 appearances a year around the country and over in the UK, and what was very evident was I was running into people, men and women, who were in the costuming organizations and just Star Wars fans who were in law enforcement, who were fire EMTs and in the military, and they all had a story to tell. And one of them is here. It was the guy that inducted me into the Mandalorian Mercs, Daryl Vincent himself there.
Right over there.
And, he's the CEO of the Blue Moon Clan, and he had a story to tell about his passion for the Mercs and how it was something that was very important to him after he came back from service in Afghanistan. So what I do with job, we come from a military family. Almost all of my cousins and my father and grandfather and my daughter serve in the Navy, one of my daughters. And I make my living nowadays in Washington, D.C. as a consultant to the Navy Systems Command, and also I did a lot of work in Homeland Security. So I had the happy coincidence of finding, not I expected it, but what would happen is that, hey, I'm merging these two parts of my life that are quite distinct when you sort of think about it, glance. But then suddenly I'm finding, wait a minute, these two worlds are intersecting. And other people are telling me that they're intersecting as well. And so I pitched the idea for this panel to Mary Franklin, and Mary being an adventurous type. I don't know if anybody knows her that's here, but she's one of the coolest people you could ever meet. She
Definitely.
accepted the idea with some of my buddies and some of the folks here at the Southern California Garrison. We put together a really good team.
Very cool.
Yeah.
We know Mary. Mary's done a ton
Yeah.
for the Mercs.
Yeah.
We're a little sad that she was stepping down from Lucasfilm, but it's a good thing for Reed Pop that she's
Yeah.
going on with them. That'll be a really good thing.
Yeah, I don't know
Yeah.
how that's going to affect, the way everybody's doing business. But, the first time I met Mary is that she was bartending for a Star Ladies convention in Washington, D.C. in 1997. And, she was pretty impressive. I said, hey, man, what's your story? And she said, well, I bartend, and, I do a little barbering up in Anchorage, Alaska. And also I'm a weight trainer, and I do in the wintertime. But in the summertime, I'm out with the fishing fleets. Did you know this?
Did not know that.
Okay. I said, well, what did you do out in the fishing fleets? We talking about dangerous catch and all that kind of stuff? She said, yeah. Well, of course, that wasn't around in those days. But she said, no, I'm a cook on a fishing boat going out of Anchorage. Think about that.
Still, yeah.
Our Mary Franklin was, going out in dangerous catch circumstances, fishing for cod or whatever it was, cooking for all these guys, and then coming back and cutting their hair on the off season, and as a weight trainer. And anybody that knows Mary knows that she's what's the word? Buff. Yeah. She's quite for Star Wars, and it was when I first met Steve Sansweet as well. And the Star Ladies were sort of one of the organizations that fed into Club Jade. Do you all know about Club Jade? Everybody?
Just
Heard
a little.
about
We know it was
Club
one of
Jade.
the first fan groups.
Yeah, it's still going, and it's for ladies, pridefully so. And you all must have heard of them. They're Star Wars with an attitude. They like to present that anyway. But Sansweet was using them for a focus group to get ideas about where Star Wars should be going, and a lot of them were writing for West End Games, which was published in the late '90s as a journal of fan fiction, and some of which would go into eventually be picked up by Del Rey and what have you. And so it was a very interesting gathering. So you had these 30 or 40 women of all ages who were professionals, and they were geeks before the I think was around. And some of them were like attorneys for the Federal Trade Commission and accountants in Chicago and what have you. Very interesting folks. And there was Tim Zahn and his wife and his son, Mike Stackpole, and Mary Franklin was the bartender. So Mary was brought in eventually as a volunteer to assist Steve Sansweet, and Then at some point she segued into Star Wars Insider, and I think she was running the Star Wars Insider for a while after John Bradley Snyder, and then got into the fan outreach, kind of following in Steve's footsteps. So here is one example of a career which at least I can't say that it's going to be the same, with Disney, but it might be. Certainly the signs were pretty good from what was said today by Kathy and JJ. It's still a collaborative fan-driven enterprise. But at least in those days, people kind of started in Lucas, and those that were keen and did a good job, and eventually they got jobs, and Mary's one of those examples.
Yep. Very cool.
Okay, so 2 authors and a Lucasfilm employee walk into a bar.
There you go.
It worked for us.
Yeah, she's got she's got the force. Wonderful woman.
So you mentioned that you do quite a few conventions.
Yeah.
And with the Mandalorian Mercs, part of what we do is the charity, of course.
Yeah.
And that experience has been what got me hooked into all of this. Do you have any great memorable moments from some conventions that you were able to
Well,
participate in?
on the charity aspects, when I first started attending conventions in the 90s, when I was really moving and shaking in my day job, I always was charity. So I'd go to the, when they hired me, I'd say, hey, I'm not taking this, but I want you to pick a children's charity to have, we'll be taking the money for the charity. So I was able to raise for Make-A-Wish, Children's Cancer Society, Children's Home Society of California, a pediatric unit in Charlottesville, enterprises like this that are the nonprofits for kids.
That's excellent.
So I did a lot of that for 6 or 7 years. And then I got off the circuit and then came back into it in 2010. Things were a little different for me in Washington, getting up there in age. You don't know as much when you're getting to be my age, at least in terms of what people pay for in DC. So unless you head a cabinet department. So I kind of went back, and I'm not doing the charity work now, but what I've frequently do is work with the 501st as the Travis Manion Foundation. They go to Travis Manion, which is a military fund for spouses and dependents of men and women who were killed in action. I support that greatly. So there's a fair amount of charitable stuff that I do, and inevitably that we all do in Star Wars. But mainly, I think the feelings that I have is, we're here to make a living, but we can do other things, but we're really here to give pleasure to you fans. And so what I take upon myself is to be an ambassador for Star Wars, because Star Wars actually brought me back into things. I was quite happily motoring along in memory lane. I was thinking, oh yeah, I did Star Wars for a while, but in 1997, the fan base kind of pulled me into this world. And so I could see, and I think all of us, which were actors in the 1970s, that you all want us to be here. Well, what are we doing here for you? Well, I think what we're doing is trying to hold a mirror back to you all and your enthusiasm, and giving everything we can to reinforce that. So I sort of see my role in terms of charities as being kind of a cheerleader. And as I said, to Coffee with Kenobi, that doesn't make me shill for Disney. I'm not shilling for Disney. I'm not on their payroll. But for example, last night I sort of heard that everybody was hanging out there waiting for tickets to get to see JJ and Kathy. And I said to my daughter, hey, I think we ought to go and work the line. And so I went down there, and I just walked right up through the alley for about an hour and shook hands with people, gave autographs, gave them, had them take pictures if they wanted, and just to cheer them up. And then lo and behold, well, that's kind of nice. But where it really hit the road was about 15 minutes later, after I had left, the pizzas arrived.
That's right.
So that's good business for JJ and Kathy to do. And I was delighted by what they had to say. The bits this morning is that I really got a sense that Star Wars is about honoring the fans and it's about giving back. And that's kind of what we reproduced on the panel. And I think that's what you all do in the Mercs and in costuming organizations. In fact, I know that's what you do. I mean, you're there to raise money for kids or for charitable causes. And you're also there, as we heard from the men and women who stood up at the panel, Dart, today, that Star Wars is a family, it's a community, and we're all there edifying each other. And kind of, if you're deployed and you run into somebody, they got a Jedi patch, you might razz them a little bit if you're a Mando, but on the other hand, you got a common bond. That was a good story. I didn't see it coming. It was this guy.
Yeah.
That's excellent.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you too for working the line. It was very cool. Some of the people I lined up at 9 last night, so I was one of the people waiting there. So I thought it was really cool, like people like you, and I saw.
Did I see you there?
No, I actually didn't. No, I think I might have been asleep. I took a nap on that cold floor for a little bit.
A lot of you guys.
I heard a
laid out
couple
there.
others came by too.
The only thing I
Thank
said
you.
to people like him is I said, you know, beware the AT-ATs. Well, that's good. Who else came down?
James Arnold Taylor, I heard, was down there. I heard Dave Filoni came down for a little bit. I'm not sure if there were any others. Like I said, I kind of fell asleep during that time.
Good,
But
good.
yeah, I don't know if, for those of you who don't know, he was talking about the pizza. J.J. Abrams and Kathleen Kennedy actually got pizza for everyone who waited in line last night to get into the panel this morning. So that was really cool. And
Yeah.
like you said, yeah, it's really nice to hear some of the stuff they're saying about, you know, how much they're wanting fans and know it's for the fans and stuff like that. So it's good to hear, especially for us. You know, we're fans who have become sort of other people who encourage fans and pull in fans. So it's kind of funny that we're fans ourselves, but at the same time, we're doing the same kind of thing, trying to pull in fans and interact with fans and do the charity stuff.
I think it's that give and take. I mean, when the time comes when people don't want, you know, us old geezers to be around anymore, we'll get a sense, and then that, you know, we won't be here. But while we're here and you want to see us, we're gonna say, hey man, you know, keep the torch alive. You know, that's delightful to see those kind of signals coming from the top,
Yes.
from the
Very
new
much so.
leadership.
Yeah.
One of the things that I think is so unique about this, to use a terrible term, franchise, which really does come from George Lucas, is that he has kind of created as I've heard it said before, a sandbox. And he's put a few toys in the sandbox that he's welcoming everybody to come and play with. And if you've got your own toy that you want to adapt and put in there, he's saying, okay. And there's a business model that he has with, you know, he's not being stupid about it, but, you know, what he's encouraging people, if you take the geek culture that now is really being, you know, I guess generated as an extreme positive where people stand up with pride, as that Navy chief did, and said, hey, I'm a geek, you know, and thank you for calling me a geek.
Yes.
you know, is a person in my mind who is extremely creative, who is looking for a creative outlet. Some people are geekish in the sense that they want to create a t-shirt. And there is Ashley Eckstein and her universe that wants people like that to come involved and to explore their creativity, and, you know, so that people, you know, Ashley and that individual can make a living, you know, make a buck. There's nothing wrong with making a buck. Other people are writers. Other people are droid builders, like the two guys that they were presented, you know.
Yeah.
You know, other people, who knows, you know, they're costumers. My favorite story, and if I can just elaborate a little bit, and then you can pull out the stage hook, is at the end of the Essen celebration 2 years ago in Germany. A young man came up from Germany and to my table. He was in his mid-30s. That's a young man for me. And he said, I'm really eager to meet you and get your autograph because you mean so much to me. And what you said when, you know, you took off to fight, you said, right now I feel I can take on the Empire all by myself. So I said, okay. It happens when people tell me this. And I said, well, why in particular? And he said, well, I will tell you why. I was studying engineering and I didn't really know what I was doing with my life. And when I saw, that line being said, I thought, yeah, I want to take on the empire all by myself. And I said, oh, that's pretty cool. So what'd you do with it? And he said, well, I'll tell you what I did with it. I went back to my hometown with my degree in chemical engineering, and I was hired by my hometown to work for their waste management facility. Okay, wait for it. And I offered them a design to make the waste management facility better. They accepted it, and they said, hey, this is so neat. We think we want you to manage the facility, which he went ahead and did. And I said, oh, that's fantastic. You made a difference. He said, well, wait a minute, I'm not done yet. And I said, okay, well, what happened next? And he said, well, I'm working on something right now which is going to turn the waste management facility into a power generating station that will enable our treatment facility to contribute for our town of 30,000 people getting off the electricity grid in our section of Germany.
Wow.
He said, and that's why I feel like I'm taking on the empire all by myself.
That's fantastic.
So here was a guy who was not a droid builder. He was not a T-shirt maker, but Star Wars did for him something that he's now doing for other people that's making a positive difference. And that's the same with everybody that's part of this. And we should encourage that.
There's so many different facets to it. I don't want to keep up too much of your time. Thank you so much for coming
Great
out.
being with you.
Yes. Thank you.
Well, thank you, all you Mando Mercs. You look great. What I like about that, is that I'm more attuned to you all than to the 501st with the greatest of respect, because you're all individuals and you're creative. I mean, look at this. You're not seeing a Boba Fett there. You're seeing, you're seeing you.
That's
Anyway,
what
amazing folks, and have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you.
Thanks, Bill.
Thank you.
Very nice to meet you.
Guys, thanks for having me.
No problem.
Thanks for coming out.
Watch your ears. Okay, guys.
Thank you.
All right. So I figured the other big thing to happen today, specifically, we mentioned it a couple times already, the big J.J. Abrams panel that so many people decided to line up yesterday for. It was actually I got an email. A lot of us got an email about a week or so ago, say, hey, here's what we're doing Thursday. You want to go see this? Go stand outside at 6. That's when I decided not to go.
Yeah. I don't know about you, Joe, but not me.
Yeah, originally, see, we kind of had me and a couple of my local guys who were in from Florida. Hold on, Mike. There you go. We kind of planned ahead to do it. I don't know. We figured flying out here, and we knew there was gonna be a lot of episode 7 stuff this weekend. So that was the one thing we really wanted to be there for. We had a feeling we'd get the trailer and they bring the cast out and stuff like that. And so we just decided, hey, we're gonna go for it. So when we got the email saying 6 p.m. Thursday, we were like, holy cow, that's a lot earlier than we thought we were gonna.
Yeah.
So we ended up, we had a Mercs meet and greet kind of dinner last night. So we went to that, and then there was people who would come by the convention center saying there was already a line starting. So we were like, all right, well, if we're gonna do this, we better go do it. So we went back to the hotel and grabbed a couple things. And there was already close to 1,500 people in line in front of us. But the good thing was they had marked the line. They are very organized. Far from what I've seen, they've done a really good job. So they were really organized, though, and they had us marked celebration stage. So we're like, all right, well, we made the big room, so we're gonna commit and stay. So we sit some lawn chairs and all kinds. And we're like, okay, so you can bring. So we sent people back for pillows. So we ended up sleeping on the floor, getting a couple hours here and there when we could. But it was fun. We had a good time. Like John said, a couple of the celebs came by and we're just encouraging people and signing autographs, and it was really cool. And then they came by with a megaphone and said that JJ and Kathleen had bought pizza for everyone in line. So that was really cool. I mean, I don't know how many others bought them pizza, so I got that at least,
Well, that was,
you got us beat there.
Well, that was a hilarious thing I saw on Twitter last night when it happened. It was just like, oh, hey, J.J. Abrams bought everybody pizza. And then there's pictures of everybody with the pizza boxes.
Yeah.
But then there are also pictures of people carrying those boxes into the panel and never letting them out of their sight.
And I don't I didn't think to grab one and be like, hey, this was, but there was actually a guy who had written thanks for the pizza and was like waving it. So it was pretty cool. But yeah, and then once it got into early morning, they gave us some wristbands around 6 a.m. and then we
Right.
still had another 4 hours to wait. So it was a wait the whole thing. But then once
the
we
big
finally
question.
got going, a couple of us were tired and irritated, and we're like, oh, I don't know if this is going to be worth it and all that. And then once we got in there, it was worth every second. That we waited. I mean, just the things that Kathleen and JJ said, and then how the setting and the surroundings, and bringing out the cast, the new cast for the first time, the three main characters, and then when they showed the actual trailer, it was incredible. I won't lie, I teared up a little bit, especially with the Han and Chewie part. So they dropped the trailer online shortly after, just a couple of minutes after they showed it. So, but yeah, I thought it was worth it. I know a lot of people told us we were crazy, but it was a blast. So
Yeah, I watched the stream comfortably from my hotel room
Nice.
this morning. I did miss the trailer because I had to get over here. But yeah, just like everything, just like actually seeing like my favorite part so far, or my two favorite parts that I Abrams talking about his daughters, like how it's like, yeah, like someone asked like, oh, well, how do I'm a filmmaker, how do I get out there and show people my stuff? And he's like, well, everyone has a camera now. So it's that easy. Just do it, put it out there. Great. Like, and then he's like, yeah, and I'm looking at my two little daughters, and they're like wipes and effects on their little movies. I'm like, I wish I could have done that when I was 8.
Yeah.
right.
And then the little rolly droid. I
Definitely a highlight,
actually,
BB-8.
yeah,
BB-8.
they rolled the BB-8 out on the stage.
Yeah,
And
I know.
actually like
one of the droid
seeing it
builders,
move
right?
around.
Yeah.
It's like
I know there was been like a heated debate between people because Mark Hamill, when the first teaser came out, all BB-8, Mark Hamill said he actually drove it on set, and so everyone knew that it moved somehow. It wasn't all CGI, but we weren't sure how it rolled. There's been, I mean, forum debates on all the tech sites on whether or not this thing could actually roll. So when they actually brought it out on stage today, and it was actually, it was really cool. And yeah, they brought out 2 of the droid builders who Mary and JJ saw at Celebration Germany.
Right.
And so they were 2 guys who were just there as fans of their droids and got pulled in and asked to build droids for episode 7. I mean, that's
crazy.
the greatest thing
That's
that can
crazy.
happen to a fan. Here you are as a fan and you get pulled in by Lucasfilm to help the movie. That's pretty incredible. So
yeah, there's hope for us for episode 8.
there you go. Exactly.
I thought we couldn't disclose that part.
Let's face it, Thaxos, you're just
In a minute, you know why? Yeah, it was a
God,
good
if you've
time.
gone to a Star Wars movie, we would never be able to live down.
No.
No.
Oh,
At the very least, I'm hoping we see some familiar designs that make it in.
yes.
Yeah.
Would be cool, at least as a little nod.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like I keep waiting to just see something that looks a lot like that helmet there. Oh, not yours. I don't care about yours.
Oh, yours.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. Wait, so not your wife's helmet? but
Well,
your helmet.
hers would be fine too. Hers is nice. I mean, if you ever see a movie where someone's got a blown off range finder, that's where it came from.
I'd settle for any Mendo merc.
Yeah.
To be able to say
Honestly,
Even just
say
one.
someone from-
Yeah.
Even if it's Star Wars Rebels, I think we have a good chance of. Like Dave Filoni, has admitted in the past that the Mercs and other clubs have influenced some of their ideas for the TV shows. So
Mm.
who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe we'll get some more Mandalorian. Pretty cool.
Given the way things have been going, we've seen a lot more of the Clone Wars released, and they had several seasons in advance at various stages. And I'm hoping we see at some point. I've heard, I won't say how. There's an entire season that focuses on. You get to see a whole bunch of Mandos, and Boba Fett is a complete and total awesome character, and he's proven he is Boba Fett.
I'm sorry, did you really need to add that in? It's Boba Fett.
But it proves that he's Boba Fett, and some people are kind of concerned with how Clone Wars portrays some of the characters. There's no DVD Boba Fett is in that, so I'm hoping we get to see that.
Yeah.
I know
it's
they keep releasing more and more. I know here, like it's tomorrow or maybe Saturday, Filoni is having a panel and they're
Yeah.
showing some more of the unreleased art and stuff. I think it focuses on one of the clones.
some of the
But it seems like more and more we keep getting more. That would be really cool to see that.
Yep.
It's tomorrow.
It's tomorrow.
Okay,
There you
that's
go.
cool. Cool.
And then is it today?
Well, none of us are going to be there because we don't know.
Apparently, we're not making it to that because we haven't planned that. But
Yeah,
Okay. Very cool.
But there's also like one of the other big things of this week is the season 2 premiere for Rebels.
Yes, season 2 is going to be crazy.
Like, and is that Sunday?
Saturday.
It is going to be a
Man,
day
we don't
that
have
ends
any
in
of the right
Y.
numbers, do we?
We don't have any of the right numbers.
We have the app for.
We made it to our panel at least.
Yeah. Like, my obligations end in about 10 minutes. And I'm just going to wander around all weekend. But like, that's like, I'm excited about that. Cause I
Yeah.
mean, obviously this time, like Rebels is the first time that a Mandalorian has ever been, a main character in anything. Like a main, like primary cast,
Yeah.
not a couple seasons, and she'll be, we'll have some Mandalorians there.
I'll put it this way.
Yeah.
Everyone here likes Mandalorians, obviously, too.
Yeah.
You heard it here first.
There you go.
There will be more, and it'll be great.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I think there's. I know, like when Sabine was announced and first came on screen, there was a little bit
Yeah.
of debate,
Yeah.
between. But I think she's grown on a lot of us already, and
Definitely.
you're already seeing she's upgraded her armor. That was a lot of
Yeah.
concern. She doesn't have much armor. She has new gauntlet layers and weaponry and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So I think it's only going to get better for the Mandos.
Yeah.
I just feel bad for the costumers that keep going, oh, there's more to add to this costume.
Yes.
Every single time.
it perfect. It's great.
The moment they get it right. Oh, no, one more thing to add.
And the app team's like, well, you have.
Like
What app team and the brigade seems like, well, you have to keep.
Yeah, what episode were you going
Yes.
for?
Yeah.
She's an interesting character. I think cool though. I think that's a little bit of an homage to us. We always
Yeah.
say we're never done building our kits, so
Yep.
it's just cool to see Sabine keep upgrading and stuff.
Yeah.
You falling apart there?
Yeah, I was wearing this on the way in. But
It
yeah,
looks
like I
that's
said,
in
never done. This is getting fixed in the
that's right.
hotel room tonight.
For those that can't see and are listening in, Ian's
Yeah, I'm holding
right
up-
thigh plate.
Yep. The snap that holds everything on just decided to give way. Like as I'm sitting. That's the thing. It's never while you're like running down a road trying to catch a bus
Yeah.
to get to the
or
to
stomping
get
through a
things.
5-foot snowbank.
Yeah, after one of many giant snowstorms that the East Coast had, and we
Yeah.
had like a good 5-6 foot snowbank, and we just
Snow?
took all kinds of pictures. You're-
Joe shaking his
East
head.
Coast snow? What are you talking
You're from
about?
Florida. You shush. But like, yeah, like he rolled around in snow for like a good 2 hours. He was soaked. Like we thought you lost a foot plate, but you found it.
I found it.
Yep. And
I had to dig for it, but
Yep.
I found it.
and I just like snapped it back on, stood inside, and all the kids like, because it was at a kids event with bounce houses and stuff. So we went back in, and a bunch of kids were like, "Why is that guy all?"
You could find me, just follow the puddle.
But like, yeah, it's always like I've just like that popped off while I'm sitting here in a chair, nice and comfy. This is like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know how many people are familiar, but the Mandalorian Mercs have a bit of a camaraderie tradition. We based it off the military of challenge. And I noticed Joe reaching for his pouch there. And the moment I say this, half of the Mandos in here are starting to dig for it. So I feel like maybe I shouldn't pull out my coin at this point, but I was thinking I might be able to get, I don't know, Bill,
Give me a
if
minute.
he's got a coin, maybe.
Everybody came prepared.
It seems like everyone
Yep,
came
there we go.
prepared. Which, if they were thinking through, they would have waited for me to actually pull out my coin and challenge everyone.
Yep.
So
Nope.
fortunately, I've not owed
None.
everyone a drink. Did
Yep.
you just drop it? You just
No.
challenged everyone in the room. So
Nerds.
who's got their coins?
I actually have one. First time that I've ever brought one anywhere.
Nerds.
So white and purple, Mercs Bash. We'll be getting some drinks from you, right?
The Mercs Bash is tonight.
The Mercs Bash is tonight.
Yep.
Yes.
For those that haven't picked up tickets, you can still get tickets at the door. And food starts at 6, so come around 7. We can discuss details later
Yep.
because those listening in probably don't care too much.
Probably-
Sorry, guys.
Very sad.
So yeah, but the convention calls it at 7.
Yeah.
Yeah, the convention.
Yeah, the floor closes at.
All right, so
Yeah,
I'll be
yeah.
here till 7, so that means
Yeah.
I have to take some time to go home and take a shower. Get some.
There you go. Aren't here. I just wanted to compliment Mandagalar and the other clans in the area for how well of a job they did on the booth setup here. I'm sure everyone will see pictures. For those listening at home, they did a really great job. It looks really nice. They did an amazing job on that speeder.
Yeah.
Speeder looks great. So the whole setup is really nice.
I still want to drive.
Yeah, that's one of the things. For those that just see the photos, that speeder does drive. It was driven here from one of the
Well, it
places
was.
that everyone's staying at.
It was
so.
on a. Oh, okay. I was gonna say he didn't drive it from North Carolina.
He did not.
Not
He did He did not drive it across country.
That
no.
would have been a long trip.
That would have taken him a little longer, but
Yeah.
it was hauled over in a trailer, and then he drove it from where the trailer was parked to the convention center, which turned a couple. Dave Filoni took it for a ride as well. You got a picture?
We gotta see that.
Yeah, you
That's
gotta
go on our
send me
site.
that today.
Bing bong.
That might be where the
Yeah,
scratches
maybe.
came from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of fiberglass on that thing. It doesn't handle except well, but what?
But it looks pretty.
Second time. Second time.
But yeah, if you haven't had a chance to stop by the bunker yet, definitely do. It's like made out to be like the inside of a Mandalorian dreadnought. We've got like a control station with all the appropriate switches and knobs and everything. The jail cells are a real treat. We've got 4 jail cells you can just walk in and out of, and if you take pictures of them while you use your flash, you get a lot of really neat little practical effects that go on there for each photo. So definitely check that out if you can.
Yeah, it's a really great setup.
Yeah.
They did a lot of work on it. A lot of work.
Yep.
How's everyone enjoying the con?
Day one.
Day one only, yeah.
Day one, we've all been here for like 3 hours, except for you.
Yeah.
I'm
And
here
you.
longer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you're even here because usually like, you're like captain table jockey.
Yeah. So it's like once this is over, I got to go back to the table to make sure it hasn't imploded.
Yeah.
He's our his original voice, and then he just rides the table the rest of the con.
At Celebration 6 down in Orlando, how many hours did you spend at the table? Because I mean, obviously 4 days, because that's how long the whole thing was there.
Looking at, I couldn't dress in my armor on Sunday because Jeff was driving our armor. But I think 20 something hours.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was one thing that happened too. I don't know how about you guys, how well your armor arrived the trip time. Like mine, the armor ended up coming fine. The only thing that's broken like either here just now or in the hotel stuff on and stuff snaps off and whenever you
Yeah.
hit a door coincidentally.
Well, you're probably also building more for the cold than for the heat,
Mostly,
like I've done. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know at least 1 or 2 other Canadian man glue in spots, and it's just coming right off.
But in my case, my totes are what took the damage of the airline freight this time.
I know we did that. We did the last podcast was all about bringing your armor down to Celebration, and
yeah.
we heard one of the mercs from Ohio.
Mhm.
His armor bin with that loading ramp, and then right at the top, it took a dive right off.
He was in the.
And he was watching it the whole time. He got a photo of it. It just lying on the side there. Apparently everything was fine, so he packed it well, but that's got to be scary.
I had some minor bending damage because TSA obviously tossed my bag
Mhm.
during their check because there's a lot of steel in that. And they didn't pack it back in exactly the way that they pulled it out.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
but luckily steel, so just bend it back into place.
I just had to, on the carousel where your luggage comes out, I've got a luggage strap around. It's like a Rubbermaid bin, nothing fancy, but it holds on my armor, packs it real well, and it counts as checked baggage, so it's cheap to fly with, especially coming down from Canada.
It's still not cheap.
Yeah. So I have the luggage strap around it to just keep the lid on, and it makes it easy for, if they want to inspect it, they can. There was no luggage strap when it came out the carousel, and it must have happened right as it came out. But I was on the far side. I didn't see it actually dump, but it went opening towards the ground and just spilled like half the armor right there. And I just see it come around and go, yep, that's mine. Fortunately, I didn't bring too many blasters. They were kind of towards the bottom of the main carousel.
Running around screaming.
Yeah, that's one of the things as I've always, I do check to make sure everything's there. And fortunately, everything was there this time too. But I always kind of take my stuff to the side to check rather than, let's just open this bin and have a whole bunch of blasters right on the top in the middle of an airport. Not the best idea.
No.
No.
Yeah, mine the armor survived, but the totes like sort of didn't.
Yeah.
They the brand that we got the totes themselves were okay, but like they were ones that I specifically we bought because they had wheels on them.
Right.
Both wheels are completely gone.
Oh,
on mine.
no.
One of the wheels on Honda's is gone, just completely just off. The other one was sort of on, and then one of the clasps that actually holds the whole thing shut was just
Oh,
gone.
jeez.
I went the risky route. I actually packed mine in a shipping box
Mm.
and then wrapped it all up. So
Yeah.
I bubble wrapped everything hardcore and shrink wrapped a couple. I did ship my jetpack. I shipped my jetpack like a week ago.
Yeah,
I was
that's
scared.
something I would be scared to take on a plane.
Yeah, I shipped it like a week ago. So, but everything else went in a shipping box and
And you took
my
your
orange
helmet?
orange taped. Oh yeah, my helmet was my carry.
Yeah,
I
same
put the
here.
Marrow Sun
Right in front of you,
with me.
under the seat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
letting it out of my sight.
That's the best way to do it.
Yep. So
Yeah, I love my helmet. Like the one I brought this time is a modified Django two-piece, one of the lightest, cheapest helmets that we have. I love them because they're so light, but they are, as a result, slightly more fragile. So I had the whole thing just cradled in a little like motorcycle bag on my lap for most of the flight.
Yeah. Oh, they didn't just stow it by your feet?
They did.
Yeah. and you said no.
It's like, yeah, there it is. Okay, back here.
My helmet,
Safe.
yeah.
Yeah, it's safe.
My helmet just barely fits under the seat. And I'm sure that that test thing they have outside the gate before you board.
Yeah,
I
that's a lot.
guarantee my helmet will not fit in that thing.
mine didn't. But I just was like, we're gonna act like we didn't see that.
But you don't, that as long as they don't ask you to check, and I've heard of them
No.
checking that. As long as when you're on the plane, it does fit. That you're good.
I heard a couple of our guys from UK or like places like that where they're coming overseas.
Yeah.
We're a little worried about it just because for international flights they're gonna be on it so long that they tend to check them a little more closely.
They're a little more
So I
picky,
heard
yeah.
a couple of guys like Niabi and them, they ended up putting theirs in their bins and stuff like that. But
Well, Niabi actually constructed a case for his helmet to ensure that it made it safe down.
there you go.
It's not a fun thing when your helmet busts.
No. Well, it's just such a centerpiece for the
It
for the
is.
costume.
And especially when it happens on and Chris will know what I'm talking about. Chris is sitting back in the audience there. 2 years ago, Phoenix Comic-Con, I dropped my helmet. It is the worst feeling, and time does slow down. And
Yep.
just for those listening, it's one of the assassins. So there's barely any material because of those side slits. And it went face first into the ground. The entire front came off, and I looked like one of those AT-AT drivers. Helmetless on Sunday, and that's one of the nice things. At least, unlike a stormtrooper, if you bust your head, what are you doing? Unless you're looking like Luke Skywalker or Han Solo.
Yeah.
Helmetless, it's weird.
Yeah.
With the Mandos, we are our characters, so without a helmet, no problem. You're still kicking yourself mentally the whole time because you dropped it, but
Yeah, I dropped my DSB Merc at we were doing a costume contest for like a halfway to Halloween thing.
Yeah.
And it's a resin helmet, so it's much sturdier than this one, but I still dropped it. It fell about 5 feet off of, a rack
Ooh.
of comic books, just right onto the back, and it just split like right up one of the back panels.
yikes.
So it was like good to wear for photos, but it was basically just like the visor keeping everything from just splitting open. So like brought it home and just like riveted a plate over the back of it.
That
'Cause
wasn't the
I
first time
can't.
it fell.
No, that was the thing. Like that helmet has been dropped so many times
Yeah,
before
sorry.
and since. It's by him, plenty of times by
My
me. Because like, especially if you're like trying to like get at your phone or a trading card to give to somebody, and you're like juggling your helmet and your blaster and all that sort of stuff, something's going.
Or you've just met a celebrity like John Morton, and you're going, "Oh my God, it's John Morton! I need his autograph," and you're trying to, grab for that phone
Yep.
or the photo or whatnot.
Crunch. Now I look like an idiot.
Yeah.
But the reality is, at some point, it's going to get damaged, and for the most part, everyone's got battle damage to some extent. It
Oh,
just adds character.
Oh yeah.
There's metal rods on the inside on mine and fiberglass patches. One of the local mercs helped me out with that, and so the Monday after the con was over, we fixed it up in the morning and then went out and got some really cool photos because I have that's the only place I'd ever gotten photos with the Arizona climate and all the geography and whatnot.
Yep.
So it made for some really cool photos. Definitely need to go back there at some point. That's a fun one.
Yeah, Maine in Canada. It's you're either next to like snowbanks, like 3 days after the storm when they're all brown and gross.
Well, that's the big problem.
yeah,
The problem is
yeah.
it's all the sand in the
Yeah.
middle of winter.
It's so coarse and rough, and it gets everywhere.
Yeah. Sand. I hate sand.
Yeah.
I don't know. You guys, well, Bill, you said was rolling around in the snow. You guys have had photos of
It was
snow.
fun.
Oh yeah, we had enough snow happen up in the Northeast this time that it almost never got to that stage. Like they would plow it out of the way and then it would snow again. So the
Right.
sand never had a chance to really get into anything.
Oh, okay.
Like we got some great pictures of us in our backyard. Normally it's like full of my landlord's like kids play sets and stuff, but it was snowing enough it didn't matter. Because
Yeah.
like visibility was gone 5 feet away anyway, so it looked really cool.
Nice. For reference, Joe, snow is the water that falls from the sky. I know you guys don't get that much
You
in
ever had
Florida.
shaved
That's
ice?
what it is.
Yeah.
It's shaved ice, but it falls from the sky, Joe.
Snow, desert, I don't know any of these things. Beach and hotness. That's
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's the funny thing is you know
Yes, you don't want to eat it though.
you see them do their snow photos. You see like the Arizona
Avoid the
guys out in
lemon.
the desert doing theirs. And we've set up a couple beach shoots, and they've all gotten rained out.
Oh, no.
So,
I
Florida, if you don't like the weather, just wait 5 minutes.
Yeah. I actually understand completely though. I have never gotten snow photos in the 5 years I've had my Mando, and I'm up in Canada.
That does make
It's
sense.
just it gets so cold that
there's like it's the exact opposite. Like you
get very little snow.
Yeah, and hot glue is one of those great materials because it's quick and it bonds to almost everything, but only in a range of like 20, 30 degrees.
Yeah.
It gets too hot, it pops up again. Gets too cold, it just snaps.
Yeah.
So like
So whenever it's
Yeah.
very much I've got a couple friends that it's like, all right, next time it's good weather, everyone's free, we're gonna run or drive quickly to wherever a good location is because you get the good weather with nice snow falling. You've got maybe an hour tops to get to your location, take that shoot, and then get back.
Yep.
And we have the problem that it's like all like 2 hours from each other.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's our big issue in Maine. We have a fair number of members up where we are, but there's like 2 of us up here, 2 of us down there. One's all the way down almost to Massachusetts. He troops with them more than he troops with us.
Yeah.
And
And that's
yeah,
one of the cool things though, is you're just trooping with all the different people. If you end up going to conventions, it's like you're with family the moment you get there.
and that's why I like to come to these because
This is just a giant family get together.
yeah. And then there's you guys. Like any given event.
Every event
there's
is a family.
There's
For the
20
Florida yeah. No, it's we have a good time. There's a lot of us who are pretty spread out because luckily we've managed to keep plans. So there are some of us who are like 9 hours apart, so we only get to see each other once in a while. But
Yeah.
we do get lucky that we have a lot of hours at most events. We just had our big con last weekend, so I'm wiped. But,
Yeah, you were really giving it.
Oh yeah.
You got MegaCon the previous year. That was a lot of fun. So if you can make it down to MegaCon in Florida, that's a great fun one. And there's plenty of mercs
Oh yeah.
to be hanging out with. And then you were cross country the whole way. So
Yep. Yep.
coast to coast on that one.
Yep. 2 days rest and come to Celebration.
Yeah.
That's all right. I call MegaCon my job.
Yeah.
Celebration is just my vacation.
Yeah. I still like how you're trying to convince me to fly from Canada down to one coast and then fly right to the other coast. It's
Yeah. Like a big U.S. triangle.
There's this thing called money, Joe. I don't have enough Republic credits.
I offered my floor.
All right, I think that's
We're
Yeah, that's-
running out of time here.
yeah, that's about all we got. So, on behalf of myself, our awesome guest John Morton, Tal down on the end, Thaxos, Solus Ram, I'd like to thank all of you guys for coming. If anyone is listening to this on the internet, thank you too. And just in general, if anybody wants to hear this again, or if anybody that missed this, we're going to have this up on the website probably later tonight when I get back to my hotel. But thank you all for coming and have a great celebration.
Yes.
Thank you, all of you.
Media hashtag you should tell me.
Oh yeah, if you take any pictures of any Mandalorians, or like it's gonna be hard for you guys in kit, but you take any pictures for anybody in Mandalorians, just definitely on Twitter and Instagram. Also Facebook works too. Just tag either just at Mando Merc, hashtag SWCA Mercs, and I'll find it, retweet it the second I see it. Because
for
also,
those-
if you see on Twitter or Instagram or Tumblr, that's me. So come find me by the bunker and complain.
And for those listening, you can watch along, see
Yep.
what we're up to.
Thanks again, guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.